Well, greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you so much for joining me. Um, this information will be pertaining to Equusearch. They haven't got much play off my channel to talk, um, and I want to give them the utmost respect and kudos to them for coming to East Tennessee, to Rogersville, Tennessee, to help find Summer Wells. They deserve every bit of credit, and I want to discuss Equusearch tonight. I have recent information pertaining to Equusearch, and I want to relay that to you guys this evening. I will jump back on shortly after this live with another live pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. I don't want to interlap some of my topics. Every blue moon I will do, a double topic depending on my mood, but I don't want any other topic in with the Equusearch because I wanted to stay fully just about the Equusearch team. And I also will be bringing you commentary pertaining to an interview with Mr. David Rader that was done with Mr. Duty Ron 5 days ago. So I will be piggybacking off Mr. Duty Ron. Interview with Mr. Rader, who is the operational director of the Midwestern Equusearch for Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Thank you, Mr. Rader, and your search team. The said information is by WJHL 11 News, nonprofit group asking to keep search area confidential in Summer Wells case to protect investigation. This was uploaded on the 24th. After local crews limited search efforts in the Beach Creek community, Equusearch Midwest returned to dig deeper. Summer Wells was reported missing the night of June 15th. Equusearch Midwest joined local crews in the initial search for the missing 5-year-old, but according to Incident Commander Tim Coop, the group alerted authorities about a week ago that they would be returning. They're solely doing this on their own. There's nothing, there's no leads, there's nothing credible that would bring them back in. They're wanting to come back and volunteer more time for the Summer Wells case, Coop told News Channel 11. Local officials and Equusearch Midwest leaders have asked the public not to photograph search efforts or post on social media the exact location of the group's search area this weekend. It's still an ongoing investigation, so every part, whether it be on the search side of it, law enforcement side of it, every part of that goes into the investigation itself. Even our searches that we've searched, that's confidential, private information due to the investigation. It's ongoing. That's all I can say on that, Coop added. You also will see a picture in the said article of the men and women who are a part of the search group. There's 16 members in this photograph, and they're all wearing lime green t-shirts. Director of Equusearch Midwest, David Rader, told News 11 Saturday that it's more complicated than just trying to keep a search area confidential. Right now, we just have to concentrate on what the business at hand is. The reason why we don't want anybody to know where we are is because we don't want anything moved afterward, because we really don't know who all the players of the game are, Rader explained. He said things done after the locations of a specific search area are disclosed could be detrimental to the investigation. If it does turn out to be foul play, then we don't want to sit there and cover an area, have it shown that we covered it, and then have some sort of evidence moved to the area that we just cleared, because we're not going to go back unless there's something to bring us back to it. So that's the main reason why we don't want to disclose where we were searching at this point, he said. Rader pointed out that people on social media have tried to take videos of search efforts or have tried to post where they have spotted crews in the vicinity of Beach Creek area. With them disclosing it, they're not hurting me. They're not hurting law enforcement. They're hurting Summer. They're hurting that end of this. So that's what they have to take into consideration as far as their actions. They're not hurting anybody but Summer. If this does turn out to be foul play, and they post something on social media that could put somebody that is behind bars, can make them walk free. And that's something that we're working too hard. That's where we're working too hard too, for one. Our goal is to find Summer. Everything else will fall into place, he added. Crews are set to search a wider area in the Beach Creek community than just around the Wells home, Rader said. He added that if Summer is not found or no evidence is gathered as a result of the search this weekend, Equusearch Midwest will return to Hawkins County. The group is a nonprofit that runs solely on donations. And you can find the link pertaining to Equusearch for a PayPal if you would like to donate any funds. This is a non-profit organization. They're working solely on donations and on their own accord to help find missing persons. That is the set information by WJHL. Thank you all for joining me. I'd like to now commence into my commentary pertaining to the interview done with Mr. Rader and Duty Ron and Mr. Bill Canning. David Rader is the operational director for this Equusearch, which derives for the states of Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. The original Equusearch was based originally out of Texas, for those of you who did not know that. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay. There's something I want to say starting out that Mr. Rader said in this interview with Duty Ron, and I want you all to know. I'll try to say it delicately as I can, but we are talking about 5 weeks into looking for a human being, so you have to use common sense with what I'm getting ready to say. I didn't give it much thought, but when he said it, it shook me to my core because I had not actually just gave it thought. But once he said these words, I just was floored inside and thought, Lord have mercy. This is really deep. At 5 weeks, a child is outside, any human. Naturally, she would need water, food, if we're to believe she wandered off. But you have to use logistics and common sense of any person's child wandering off, lost, let's say. They would need food, water. They will become dehydrated due to the elements. It is summertime. The weather is very humid here in the South, East Tennessee. So now you're factoring in a child into the elements, if alive. If she wandered off alive, she now has to survive on her own outside the elements with heat, humidity, loss, will become disoriented, and also wildlife. We're talking about bears, coyotes, snakes, wild dogs, said such. She would not be able to survive out there under those conditions. And we also have to think of if she was attacked by an animal, what would her survival rate be as a child? Now we're hungry. If we are alive and attacked, we're thirsty, we're attacked. What would her survival rate be? After 5 weeks of being exposed to the elements and you are deceased, you know there's a chance, you know the probability, that Summer will not be in the same state she walked out into the wilderness. And Mr. Rader let that be known in his commentary. Possibly she would be in pieces. So we will not be searching for a whole body, perhaps. And I think most of us did not think about that. You're thinking you're going to stumble across a whole child. You have to use common sense. 5 weeks in, whether she wandered off, was discarded off, she's not going to look like the Summer we see inside of the photographs and videos of Summer Wells. There will be remnants of her clothes, if she was actually had clothes on. That's possibly all they may find, or remnants of clothing and bones. And I don't think we ever gave that much thought in these people searching for her. He also made it clear, Mr. Rader, that he felt like the sheriff department should have already had a team assembled for this type of event, such as a person going missing. And I concur, I agree. I think every jurisdiction should already have a team of people on standby in case people need to be deployed to the ground to search for someone. Because waiting for somebody to come in is detrimental to a person's survival, because every minute, every hour is pertinent to the survival of the person who is missing. It was rumored that the dog stopped at the end of the drive. I had heard this a few times. I never weighed on it because most of you know I don't do social media much, Facebook, He said, she said, rumors and things. So I don't dwell on that. But he did mention that he had heard it also. So I'm going to go off of what Mr. Rader said, that the child scent stopped at the end of the driveway. I questioned this myself about the scent once he said it. And I had my own thoughts about her scent being at the end of the driveway. Is it perhaps her scent stopped there because she left from the house with her mother on that fateful day to go out on those errand runnings, and that is why her scent stopped at the end of the drive? Or is it that she got into a car at the end of the drive? My thoughts is that she left in the car for that running of errands with her mother and grandmother, well, mother rather, but I do not believe she came back to that said address. He doesn't believe that Candy's version is plausible. He basically said by day 4, when they came to exact the search for Summer, it was limited. Everything was limited because you have to count 4 days in, as I just stated. No food, no water, dehydrated. Child will be exhausted. That's my commentary. Heat exhaustion. He made it clear that there's no way she could have gotten out from where they searched. How many people they had on the ground searching? No way she could have made it out by foot. No way that they saw her. They had at least 1,000 people searching for this child. Basically, he said it would be non-existent. They would have seen her in the periphery where they searched. And as he said, consider wildlife, all those things that could hinder finding her. Thus, if she wandered off, like I said, she was out in the elements, her survival rate would be very, very low. It was mentioned that the first 48 is very critical. Mr. Ron said that. Mr. Rader said the first hour is detrimental. He felt like law enforcement needed to have all people on the ground, on deck, asked to search for the said young lady. And they only went by what Candace Bly told them for the reasons for searching that said area initially when he came to East Tennessee. Every day that she lies out there in the wilderness is critical to evidence on her body. And they're losing it by not being able to find her. 238 persons on the ground and no body thus far of Summer Wells. This is a crucial situation. We're not finding her because evidence is needed. And without a body, you don't have that. So as we said, as he has said, 5 weeks in, no body. Imagine she is not going to be looking like she did on June 15th. There will be remnants of Summer Wells. Duty Ron made mention of rumors pertaining to the child having special needs. He made it clear that he had not gotten any mention from law officials that she was a special needs child, autistic, yada, 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 nonverbal. My thing with that is this. Due to the fact of the information that's come forward pertaining to the Wells as people, their disposition, things that were said by Boy H in the interview, things that Miss Allison Mulani said of Candy and her abuse against said child, why would I think these people would be in tune to what was wrong with their child? She may have been a special needs child. She may have been autistic. She could have been many things. We will never know because I don't think we would ever get the truth out of these people to tell us if there was indeed a mental issue, handicap with their child. Who is to say that they cared enough to inquire if something was wrong with their child? They don't strike me as people that would take their child to the doctor and inquire about her being nonverbal, her acting differently. They don't strike me as those type of people. So we will never know if the child is autistic or has any type of developmental issues, because by law, a doctor can never release those said informations because of HIPAA compliance laws. And as I said, the parents don't strike me as people who would have inquired to care or to even tell the truth if she was. Mr. Rader made mention about autism, that children, due to a case he worked on previously, autistic children tend to gravitate towards water. He made mention of that in his commentary. And as he stated, there's ongoing investigations. You don't know who all the players are. And people posting things to social media about their search will hinder their search, because you have to remember, there are people out there who are involved in this case and got the child gone. So therefore, when you post the said pictures, following these people around while they're trying to do their job, you are hurting Summer. Not Mr. Rader, not Equusearch, not the law enforcement, not TBI, not the community. You're hurting Summer Wells in the discovery of finding her. And it is time for people to stop being busybodies and messing up stuff, interfering with stuff. This Captain Save-A-Hole mentality needs to stop. It is daunting and it's childish. These people are here on their own accord. They are not getting paid. So you have no right to be following these people around, taking pictures, because did it not dawn on you? She didn't get out there on her own if she's indeed out there in the elements. So you want to give the killers a free pass, as he said, down the road, they go to court, whatever. You're giving away. So you want them to double back, go do something? Don't do that. Stay in your lane. Let these people search for the child uninterrupted. And as he stated, they are watching whomever is behind the disappearance of Summer Wells. What he says you should do, for those who want to be willing participants in this investigation, check your property. Check under your house, your sheds, your outbuildings, if you want to be of service. For those of you that live in the Beach Creek community, just check your properties, and anything you see suspicious, anything on your door cams, please alert the authorities, but only let it be viable information that you think would be helpful in the discovery of Summer Wells. Bill, Mr. Cannon, was also on a panel, and he asked, was there any info on the truck? And this question was directed to Mr. Rader. And as far as Mr. Rader knows, they are still looking into the red truck. So far, I haven't heard any updates pertaining to that said truck, any persons that it belongs to. He also mentioned how he became to work for Equusearch. He was on vacation in Florida when the Casey Anthony case arrives. And next week after his vacation ended, he went back down to see how he could be of service. And that's how he met this Mr. Tim and got on board with him. And he also said he sat outside the Casey Anthony house and saw George cleaning out a cooler for about an hour or so. And he thought it was strange that this man didn't have a hair out of place, was more concerned about cleaning a cooler than worrying about his granddaughter. He thought that was very strange to him. Strange. I guess at this point we can say this is a grid search now, recovery, due to the fact the child's been missing for 5 weeks. And Mr. Bill made note of saying this is investigative steps there are investigative steps being taken by law officials. 3-mile grid has been conducted. And Mr. Rader feels like this case could have been solved early on, had there not been so much public information of telling people about GPS tracking and this and that. Because as most of you know, those are things we've learned from GPS, what you can do with it, what you can't do. And as he stated, these are things that a criminal needs to know. which will help he or she get away with the crime, because everything is free information nowadays. Mr. Ron asked him about communications with all the law officials, such as TBI and Mr. Ronnie Lawson. He made mention he's not had any communication with Mr. Lawson. He's a very busy man, but he did talk to Mr. Coop, who's working with the ground search, and he said that he's met some fantastic people with the sheriff's department. They welcome him, his team, great officers. And the interesting thing about that comment is that we now have commentary from Candace Bly and Mr. Wells, Mr. Don. They don't really care for the local sheriff's office due to the fact that I guess they think Miss Candy's behind the disappearance of Summer. Well, as I stated to you all in my previous live, that is their job to investigate. That is their job, TBI, to investigate. And my thing is, if you know you don't have anything to do with the disappearance of your child, why do you care what Hawkins County Sheriff's Office thinks of you? You know in your heart you didn't harm your child, both of you. You have nothing to worry about. Why are you worried about someone's opinion? I found that very interesting. And he also said he has not had, Mr. Rader, any contact with TBI either. Bill and Ron both asked Mr. Rader about the setup of the command center. And he said it was small, it was outside of a church, but it was welcoming and everything was in order. The only thing that was bad about the situation was the cell phone service. He said it was horrible. They had to bring in portable boosters because there was no satellite radio, and they had to do this so they could get further out, to get more, information to come in through the radios, boosters rather. And Mr. Ron mentioned about the UHF, so you can get farther distance. And they also, Mr. Rader made a point of saying they had to use private channels at some point, for this said search. And the private channels come into play in case they found something. Most of us probably don't know much about this kind of talk, but it's interesting to get the information because it has been mentioned on the news that there is poor service out there just in general as a civilian. So imagine these people out there on the ground, they need to have service because you don't want to have another person lost. And Mr. Lawson made that point early on. That's why he didn't want regular civilians helping to find Summer Wells. Because as he said, we don't want another person on the news as a lost person trying to help search for the child. Bill asked Mr. Rader, do you think they will find Summer? And he basically said, well, if she went out there, I want to find her. If she was abducted, that would be the best scenario. Everything is possible. He said, one thing we do know is where she's not. And he wants to give her back to her family. Interesting. It's very interesting when he says, we know where she's not. Shut up now. Basically saying she's not out there where they've been looking. And imagine that's vast land, brushes up to your thighs. So imagine somebody 4 feet tall would not be seen even standing up, lying down. And at this point, 5 weeks in, she's not going to be in either shape. She's not going to even look like the pretty little girl that she once was. Sad to say. Mr. Rader says he believes that it's either one or two, knows what happened to Summer, know what happened to her that day, and what they did with her. Mr. Bill Cannon makes mention to Mr. Rader that he's big on instincts, and he does believe that Mr. Rader has excellent instincts on this case, and he believes in instincts. Mr. Rader says you can take it two ways pertaining to the situation of the dogs hitting on the scent of her at the end of the driveway. He said it's either she left the house going to the swimming hole, And that's basically it. Did she ever make it back home? He says there's a 2:30 window of her being alive. Boy H clarifies that's the last time he saw her when he got home, dropped off by Miss Candace Bly. So we're talking about a 2:30 to 6:40 window. Did she make it home? And as he says, possibly she never made it home. And that's the catastrophic part. It's her not making it home, period. Something possibly happened to her catastrophically before or basically after dropping off Boy H. And I concur. I do believe Summer Wells never made it home. And I believe the scent that the dog picked up, if indeed this is true, the scent at the end of the drive is the scent from her being inside of the automobile leaving out on June 15th. Okay. Ron was asking him about, what did he notice pertaining to that he, basically Mr. Rader's got a bullseye view of watching everything and seeing everything since he and his team have been on the ground. And he asked him about the wells, how they were looking. And he says he don't know about what they were doing while they were searching. He says, but what struck him funny was on the following Monday, he noticed no emotion from the father or the mother. And he found it odd that Don Wells would go to work. And Mr. Ron made a comment saying, well, I was crucified for making that comment. And Ron can't see how anybody would go to work once they knew their child was missing. And he also said, no two people act the same. And Mr. Don Wells had made the comment that they got to get back to normal. Well, what is normal? See, that's a statement that can be analyzed so many ways depending on your perception in life. What is normal for you all, Mr. and Mrs. Wells? Because we've already seen how you live, which is not normal to some of us. And I get it. Children need to have familiarity and structure, especially at a time like this with their sister missing. So therefore, the children can't stop living because their sister is missing. I get that part. But what we're talking about is the demeanor of you and your wife. You show no emotion. Naturally, the people on the ground can see this. Law enforcement, the searchers, people in the community, people that see you out eating, dining, buying things, shopping in the stores, people are observant. And that's been said about you too, that you show no emotion since the disappearance of your child. And for you to say, Mr. Wells, you got to get back to normal, that would lead one to possibly think you didn't care about your child. Maybe you didn't care in the beginning. So getting back to normal is expected of somebody who didn't give a damn in the first place. Take it how you want as a spectator. Mr. Rader says that he is pissed off at the way people talk bad about law enforcement not doing anything. Just because you don't see them on the news every day and on social media does not mean they do not care and not working behind the scenes. I agree. We all want a quick fix to everything that goes bump in the night, but life isn't like that, because you should know that the devil sent in his demon seeds to get her gone, to get many people gone. So you can't think that the devil did his work. It would be easy retrieving the said missing person. They went missing for a reason. They won't. So why do you think it'd be easy to find the missing person? I got them gone because I didn't want them around. You think I'm going to make it easy for you to find them? You're in East Tennessee, vast land. Honey, the possibilities are endless. Literally. I can't even begin to make you understand what it's like living here. A person could be looking at you in open sights, and you could look out into the field and say, "Where are you?" And they could say, "I'm right here. Don't you see me?" And you could say, "No, I don't. I'm right here, right in front of you. You don't see me?" Do you get my drift? Now imagine 4 feet tall out there on her own, alive, disoriented, don't know where to go, lost. It would be detrimental. One commenter asked a question: why were the brothers still in the home? Now, many of you know this content was uploaded to YT 5 days ago. So that's probably around the time the children were on their way out of the Wells possession. Somewhere between Tuesdays and Thursdays, the children got taken out by DHS. Rader basically said he couldn't answer that question. He could only think that if there was abuse, the children would have already been removed day one after the report went in that the child was missing. But now we see uploaded content has come to YT that the children have been removed. But Mr. Ron ended up talking about Cal City as a reference. That day one, those said children, the 4 remaining children, were removed from CPS. So what we have to ask ourselves in that case, what did they find in that case in Cal City that they removed the children day one? Versus this situation here, a child missing. The version doesn't seem plausible. TBI has basically said they don't see how she got gone. So why didn't somebody say something to DHS to say something doesn't look right here and maybe we need to remove these other children out of their care? And possibly they didn't see anything when they went to the house that made them think the children were in danger, the remaining boys. I don't know. Rumor is Sugarfoot had somebody clean up the beer bottles that were on the property or inside the property, so they didn't get to see the remnants of alcoholics. But now with all the rumors circulating on the YT and social media that the father's an alcoholic, was, however you want to word it, the mother imbibes, possibly on narcotics herself, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. He's admitted that. We know these people don't have their SHIT together. And the kids ended up getting removed 5 weeks after the fact. And as I stated earlier in my commentary, was there ever an official report of abuse about Candace Bly and her husband against their said children? I do not know. When they were talking about Miss Bly, her behavior, he does feel that, yes, the children should have been removed. And getting to the fact that the child has admitted to getting alcohol from Miss Bly and how she looked in her news interviews, he said he didn't even know what planet. She didn't know what planet she was on. And Mr. Bill Cannon agrees, saying she looked like she was on alcohol and drugs in her said interviews. And he also said, Mr. Redder, that was more than enough due to the fact of giving the children alcohol. What else were her own children getting if you were to give a 15-year-old alcohol? That's true. Because if you're willing to give your friend's son alcohol, a vape, what else have you given boy H? What else have you been giving your children? You don't have respect for children, obviously, Miss Candy Bly. You willing to give a child something he doesn't need, something that's against the law. State law says you have to be 21 to imbibe alcohol in the state of Tennessee. 18 years of age to purchase tobacco products. So you knew better and you did what you wanted to do. And he's a kid. He went along with the program, as most kids probably would. Mr. Ron asked about drug tests being administered to the family, parents. And Mr. Bill Cannon says, you know, they don't have to if they were asked. Naturally, there's no law that says you have to comply with giving a test, taking a drug test, lie detector test either. But it has been said during this commentary with the three men that that interview with Boy H sealed the deal. Candy Blind. Indeed. That's my commentary. Equusearch has come to town, and I pray that people will not meddle with this group of people. Do not follow them around. Do not take photographs. Leave them alone and let them do their job so we can put an end to this madness pertaining to Summer Wells. So I want to thank Mr. Rader and his team. Anybody that's willing or want to donate, they do have a PayPal account if you want to donate. This is a nonprofit organization, and the members do not get paid for their service. I think I really was bothered when he first started talking on that panel, when he said, you should know that she's not going to look like she did. Man, I'm telling you, that floored me, because the first thing I thought was, Lord have mercy. You're so right. Why in my mind was I thinking Summer Wells is going to look like she did in her photographs and her videos? Of course she wouldn't. 5 weeks in. It's very sad to think that we're talking about a child who obviously is another victim of poor parenting and people who made bad decisions and didn't give a damn about she or her brothers. And I also feel sorry for her brothers, because as I state, you only know what's been afforded to you. You didn't ask to come here. You didn't choose your family. You didn't choose your background. You didn't choose where you live. You don't choose anything. That's the thing about life. When you're a child, you don't have any options. You don't have any choices. You deal with the card that's been dealt to you. In totality, it's cruel. It's very cruel. I feel sorry for those boys, because as they state, who knows what the hell has been going on in their house, what their mother's been doing to them, their father's been doing to them, what they've seen go on between their parents, how their parents interact with each other, how the children interact, because you know children mimic what their parents do. That is the reason why we have adults who do crazy, foolish things. They watch their parents and the people who raised them do foolish, crazy things. Then they grow up and mimic their behavior. Then you also have to count, it's in your gene pool. Your genes have a lot to do with your disposition as well. And if you don't get help for certain things that's in the gene pool, then you end up becoming just like the people who you despised and or loved. It's all the same. Thank you all for joining me. It's very sad. Very, very sad. But I want to thank Equusearch. That's my commentary for this evening. Is that they are in town. They came to town days ago to help in the search for Summer Wells. I pray that the search will go forward, uninterrupted, no problems, no busybodies, because I think a lot of you all don't realize how serious these cases are. You get too enamored with social media and Facebook posts and everybody wanting to come out and talk and give their commentary. Well, let me say this before I check out of here. Since all of you all want to talk so damn much, why don't you tell us where the hell that baby is? Yeah, I'm saying that. And I don't care who don't like it. Everybody now is a damn canary. You want to come to YT and tell everything about who did what, who said what, who was like this. Well, why the hell you don't tell us where the hell that baby is? Yeah, I'm saying I'm crunk because I'm sick of it. Just talking. Such and such is coming on. Y'all really act like this is a joke. This is Nightline. Oh, did Oprah go back into doing TV interviews? I must have missed that that alert. Now, Coming to you live at 4 o'clock on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Pookie's sister's going to tell us what it was like when Pookie was little. Miss me with all this shenanigans. There's a baby missing, and everybody is jumping up, wanting 5 minutes of fame on this little dusty ass box. Well, I tell you what, let me see what you got to say if and when they find her and she ain't walking on 2 feet. Yeah, that part. I want to see how you feel then with all your little versions you're bringing to YT. I don't care nothing about these folks talking. I'm just going to be truthful with you. What I want to hear is something pertinent. Something pertinent pertaining to this child. Because like I said, when you start repeating things that allegedly took place beforehand, you are party to the mayhem. Because what people are going to do is judge you. Well, if you knew this, you saw this, you heard this, why didn't you go call DHS? Why didn't you call the police? So now you run to the YT and social media after the fact, telling people about what somebody did, who beat up somebody, who locked somebody in a cage, basement, double locks on doors. What difference do it make now? The damn baby is missing. You think I am going to sit here and know that you were locking a child in a hot ass basement with 2 locks on the door, inside and out, and I'm going to hold that secret? Like somebody said, bypass DHS. No more calling DHS. Call the police. Do not call DHS with nothing else. Anything you see, call law enforcement. They'll be the ones that handle it directly. Because in the end, it's the police that's going to call DHS when it's time to get the children removed. So no more of us sitting here pretending to be anonymous, talking in code on the phone to a damn person on the other end of the phone at DHS. Just call the damn police and just put an end to this. You see something foul, call the law. We'll bypass DHS. We ain't got to worry about it sitting in a file, waiting for somebody to open it up, waiting for somebody to send Pookie out to look and search and knock on the door. Then don't nobody want to open the door because they see, oh, it's a social worker. Don't open the door. Because by law, they don't have to open it. They'll just keep sending them letters and say, well, you're not complying. Then eventually they'll probably just come on out with the law officials with the warrant. Then you won't have no choice but to open the door. But I've had enough of this he said, she said about these people. I just really haven't even engaged much in some of the stuff that's on the YT pertaining to people coming out wanting to speak on Candace Bly and Mr. Wells and family members. Because in the end, it's a day late, dollar short now. It doesn't really matter about how somebody was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, who got high, who has a drinking problem, who molested somebody, who did that. The baby's gone. The baby's gone. We have no idea where she is. The only person that knows where she is the person that got her gone. Or persons. And I'm like Mr. Rader. It's either 1 or 2 that got her gone. And I believe that. And I believe it's her family. I do not believe it's a random stranger. I looked at that picture today of the driveway, and the first thing I thought was, how the hell could somebody get a regular car up that driveway? That's why they're driving SUVs. If you would have a regular car, you would tear your damn muffler off trying to get up that damn driveway. That got broken concrete up the driveway to their house. Take a good look. Y'all like being on social media so much. Why don't you just take a good look at their driveway and go back and just sit and say to yourself, what normal size car is going to be climbing up this driveway to go lurk for a kid, turn around without being seen or heard, come back down the driveway? Honey, you wouldn't make it back down if you was driving a damn Toyota or a Honda. Your car would be at the bottom of the hill, toe down. Because you can't even get up it from what it looks like in a standard car, a mid-sized sedan. I wouldn't even risk my car going up that drive. Now that's honestly the spoken word. And that's the whole point. Who is going up the drive? Now that you see what the driveway looks like, it's not even paved, nor is it even, how can I explain it? It's not even full gravel. It's broke up. It's broke up concrete and gravel. Yes, front end alignment and everything else. Maybe someone brought her down the hill to a waiting car. I don't know, Shirley. I don't think they brought her down. Could be, can't say because I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm leaning towards her scent is because she left out in that SUV. I think the dog smelled it from her going out of the property with her mother that morning. I do not believe Summer Wells ever made it back to that said house. But what I want to talk about next is pertaining to the children, the boy children. And this was briefly mentioned in this commentary with Mr. Rader, Mr. Bill, and Duty Ron. What did the boys see? You see, that's going to be the clincher to this story. What did the three brothers tell law enforcement about June 15th? Did they tell law enforcement they saw Summer Wells enter the house and go downstairs on that fateful afternoon, June 15th? Because you see, if those three itty bitty spiders did not tell law enforcement that that child was seen that afternoon, Candy Bly, you might as well take a needle to your own neck and end it. That's my said commentary. I want to thank you for joining me. You want to donate to this channel? $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. All super chats are welcome during the live. My next live will be pertaining to what did the boys see? What is the 411 pertaining to those children? Because we have Boy H giving up the goods of June 15th. But what happened after 2:30? Where did Candace Bly go with her mother and Summer Wells? And the mother, something about you ain't proper dough either, because you're not talking. So what are we saying? Candace Bly dropped the mother off up that lonely hill and came back down with the baby? Or is also the grandmother complicit in getting rid of Summer Wells? What are we talking about here? That is my next live. I want to thank the mods on deck. Thank you all for joining me in the chat. Please join me here shortly for a live part 2. It will be pertaining to the children, what they saw on June 15th. Thank you all so much for joining me. Stay safe and have a prosperous week. God bless all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans.